Thanks, Aisha. Welcome back to IGN Live here at E3 2016. I'm Damon Hatfield, joined up here by Daniel Krupa, Brian Altano, Justin Davis.
Seamless.
First impressions of the Ubisoft conference this
A
year.
lot of swearing.
Yeah.
That's my
They're trying
main
to go for a record, I
takeaway.
think.
Long.
It's very long. I mean, it's really impressive that they can have a show, without Splinter Cell, without Prince of Persia, without Rayman, and still sort of pack it end to end with games that look really cool, look like games I want to play.
I really thought they were just going to show the entire Assassin's Creed movie at some point. Just run the whole thing.
Well, it was long enough.
Yeah. Was it 2 hours? 3
Yeah,
hours?
it was
2
2
hours.
hours.
Yeah. Like the third-party publishers don't have to spend as much time with hardware, and they have fewer games, so they can spend a lot longer time on each individual game. So why don't we start with Watch Dogs 2?
Yeah.
Deeper dive into that.
Before the show started, I was incredibly excited for it. I think I'm like double excited now. It just looks awesome.
It's
It
such a
looks so
great
much
trailer.
fun.
That trailer's so good. Like,
The trailer's
this
great,
is a very lofty comparison to compare any open world game to GTA. But it slightly reminded me of GTA because it had kind of a swagger about it,
Yes.
an attitude,
And
fun.
And it was, fun. Which the first game's kind of a bit lifeless, but that city, like you all live there, I don't, and it just looks like a really bustling place, like charismatic, and there's just lots to do.
Yeah. So many beepers to hack.
Yeah. I mean, and you can listen to Eric B. and Rakim and Run the Jewels.
Yeah, the
which is
soundtrack
like,
seems great.
Dude, I'm so in. That's what I listen to walking around San Francisco already. The big problem with this game is that I'm going to ignore the outside world to do exactly what I could be doing at, well, not exactly, close enough. But to walk around the city listening to hip hop is what I do in real life, and I'll just do it in a video game.
It
Close
does
the
feel
blinds.
very, it's obviously much more like Mr. Robot inspired, DedSec. I wouldn't be surprised. Like the thing I watched this trailer and I'm like, these don't necessarily seem like good guys.
Right.
I don't know that you're on the side of good, so I wouldn't be super surprised if, halfway through this game we maybe end up something happens
I've
with
been working for the wrong side.
or maybe not. I mean, we'll see. But I've definitely sensed some shades of gray there.
Yeah. What else?
That's it. That's what,
We did learn that PlayStation 4 gets the DLC first.
yeah.
All the DLC for Watch Dogs 2. 30-day window of exclusivity there, I believe.
And they also reconfirmed the Watch Dogs movie is going to happen. This was announced in 2013 or 14, just before the first game came out, and I guess it was kind of just a reaffirmation that we are committed to doing this after the kind of mixed reception of the first game.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I like all the parkour in it. Just you have a lot more mobility this time around and a lot more options, it sort of feels like. The first one was a little bit slow, a little bit plodding, and I really think they took that criticism to heart and made big improvements.
Well, speaking of trying to improve on the original, what about South Park?
Man, it looks so
The fractured
great.
butthole.
Goodness gracious.
Any excuse to just say butthole repeatedly on this show is great.
No, I mean, I love that it's not just a send-up of superheroes, but also superhero movies, right? Like, just the whole joke about the multiple phases of them, and that's why the boys are playing the game they're playing is to try to make $1 billion.
Yeah, I mean, the entire cinematic where they just basically trashed the Marvel and DC cinematic universes was fantastic and perfectly spot on.
And it's it's kind of a hard, weird game to demo with a character just going, like walking around a basement. But it's funny, right? And all the custom dialogue that Cartman sort of spits out. That's a lot of work. That shows so much care and attention to detail that really makes me believe that, they're not phoning this one in, that it does sort of feel like they're giving it as much care as they did the first one.
And I like the tease of the character creator, and they selected one of the many options, and it was kind of a parody of the Flash origin story in the TV show that I thought was really funny as well.
Yeah, all that stuff was great. I actually can't wait to go back in and look through the stills of that because there were a lot of really cool options in there. It's all very well written. There's just great jokes packed in every part
I think
of
there's something you like in there. There's something called an ionic ass cannon.
Yes.
And I actually think I didn't mind the combat in the first game, but it did get criticized by some for being a little bit basic, a little bit simplistic.
Sure.
And it feels like they really fixed that. That was really the only thing that wasn't kind of perfect about the original. And this time around, combat's a little bit more grid-based and feels like you have a little bit more strategic options and depth, sort of rewinding time. And so I think that same humor and that same attention to detail with a little bit more gameplay in the combat, that could be something really special.
Absolutely.
I know you're trying to keep a tab on trends at E3 this year, Justin.
Yeah.
Big trend is pre-ordering the sequel gets you the original.
Yeah. That's great.
That's the case with South Park, also with Dishonored 2 and Halo Wars 2.
I mean, it's obviously great for games you missed the first time around. But even I played South Park, and I'd totally be down to run through it again. But I don't want to drag out my 360 or anything. So it's
It
it's
came
super
out
cool.
at the very end of that console cycle.
Yeah,
Loads
totally.
of people missed out on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the new South Park is out December 6th, I believe.
Yeah, this year I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. They opened up the show with Ghost Recon Wildlands. How are you guys feeling about that one?
Less enthused than I was going in, honestly. And I don't know. I think it's almost too serious for me. It's got a lot of Division stuff, there's a feeling of the Division to it, which I guess at this point is sort of like that, sort of the feeling of a lot of Ubisoft games.
Yeah.
I wasn't really impressed with the way the graphics look once you get on like a ground level. But when you're up in the sky and you're flying over, like these panoramas are fantastic. They're gorgeous.
It just feels impossible. Like it feels like just a seamless game where you're on foot, then you get in a helicopter and fly off, and the whole world.
Yeah, it's also kind of unfair because the demo to me was like so scripted to the point that no human beings talk to each other like that.
Yeah.
Like we do not have conversations like that with each other. I'd be
Especially
yelling
not
at
when people are playing games.
I'd be like, Damon, shoot that dude in the head. I wouldn't be like, okay, flank left to the side and head tango right to the top. Like that doesn't mean anything.
No,
it's
they did
nonsense
that. They did the same thing with Rainbow Six last year, and it's so strange. I mean, I know every E3 demo is just completely, like every moment of it is completely planned out, but I feel like you can do a little bit better job of masking that. Like it didn't give me a great sense of like, what's this game actually going to feel like when I'm sitting in my living room to play?
I just don't think it came across as very fun. Like you're infiltrating this like Coke factory and exploding it with your friends and escaping.
Yeah, like watching
with a variety of vehicles.
Watch an 80s action movie. Like that entire premise that you just gave right there sounds like an awesome Jean-Claude Van Damme film. And in this, it's just like, oh well, all right.
Maybe it feels a bit stilted because of the fact that it is so heavily scripted and you're jumping between 4 perspectives, but it doesn't feel just natural.
I'm curious to see how it plays solo. You know, I'd be super down to play with Damon, super down to play with any of you. But realistically, like I'm probably going to play this at my own place, play it solo.
Totally.
And so are those guys with you, or are you on these missions by yourself? Like, even though this game is very far along, coming out, I think February, March, right? Like we still like kind of details like that will really make a big difference.
And all the stuff like last year, which they led on about doing it different types of day with different tactics, kind of wasn't present. I don't know if that's just like foreground the gameplay or whether they're dropping that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think one of the things I did appreciate at least was the variety in like sort of vehicular combat, or at least just vehicles, period. Like there's like 6 different vehicles just in this demo alone, like the motorcycle sequence and everything like that. Like but he's like, I have found a motorcycle. Like it's just not real. Like people don't.
Let me just race this train. I mean, it could be as cool as Metal Gear, or it could be like it just could not feel that great. Like we'll just kind of have to wait.
The thing is, like Metal Gear Solid had at least Metal Gear Solid 5, or most of them really. I mean, you could Fulton people, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a joy to that game. There's sort of a swagger to how fun and goofy it is.
Yeah.
You're running around with a wolf with an eye patch, tying people to balloons. Like this is a little too like.
Well, this is dissolving bodies in a factory. This is way more serious.
Yes.
There's a lot of elements.
There's only so much levity you can have with a corpse with no arms.
Yeah, that's true.
No, there's a lot of elements here that I like. I like open world games. I like tagging outposts and infiltrating.
Big fan
them.
of marking people.
But like you were just saying, like you're just saying, Metal Gear Solid does that with like style and humor.
Yeah.
And like this looks a little vanilla to me right now. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. For Honor. Speaking of single players, we did get to see that single player mode.
Yeah, I mean, you were saying that demo just went on and on. So here's the thing about that game. That's a game that's very, very fun to play, but it can be kind of hard to watch.
Right.
Like it's very sort of crunchy and heavy, but in like a great way. Like it feels like you have heft and everything you're doing has heft, and parrying and counterattacking. And it felt great when I had the controller in my hand at E3 last year. But it's a little bit hard to sit back and watch and sort of get that feel for it.
Well, last year we saw this game for the first time, and it sort of gave us echoes of Rise, which was an Xbox One launch title. And
it does seem very Rise.
Yeah, and that was a game that I think was very fun to watch because it was just really beautiful, and the combat, the way it broke down at these sort of one-on-one scenarios made it feel almost like Punch-Out-esque, this big kind of match of these titans. This is kind of all over the place, and if you're not really into this theme, which I'm hit or miss with. It started to lose me a little bit through the demo.
This was their single player kind of reveal. I'm still a bit clueless to actually what's going on. I like the cinematic trailer. I thought it was really evocative.
Yeah, I agree.
But there's another entity, Apollonia?
Yeah.
And she's like, is she resurrecting them time and time again? I don't really understand what's going on.
Making them fight.
She's like the puppet master making them fight.
I will say, we said in the pre-show, we were going to get our eyes on single player. I hope it really wowed me. I wouldn't say it really wowed me. I still feel like this is probably like a multiplayer first game, at least for me, in terms of my interest level. It's mind games. That's what it is, because the direction that you're attacking, they have to block in. And so it's sort of trying to time things just right and play mind games with your opponent. And that really works so much better against another human being than it does sort of against a big mass of AIs.
Sure.
So,
well,
we'll see.
I hope they haven't like tried to put in a single player just because they feel obligated to. if the focus is multiplayer.
Well, what do you think it would happen if they put it out as just multiplayer again? Everyone would. That's what they do.
Sure, they
That's
come
always
play
a
with
great balance, right?
Overwatch.
Yeah. Like either you put in a single player, no single player, a bad single player, no multiplayer. No one's ever really happy.
Yeah, well, that's true. For Honor is out February 14th, Valentine's Day.
Oh,
Yeah,
perfect.
get ready, baby.
For a multiplayer game. They like to unveil a new IP at the end of the show a lot of times. This year it was Steep, the open world sports game, open world mountain sports game, Steep.
I mean, we were poking a little bit of fun on it on social media, but I actually do believe that this is really, really cool. I was really impressed. It feels like a game I want to play. It feels like this is a little bit of a strange connection, but the SSX that came out last generation, where that was a very social experience. And
Wow. I'm just looking at that caption down there.
oh, I know.
Zach's doing God's work over there.
Thank you, Zach Ryan.
I really like that it's not about like who can get down the mountain the fastest and who can rack up the craziest tricks. Like it's a little bit more laid back and just, explore, make your own lines, explore things at your own pace, do something cool, share it with your friends. It's almost like a game of horse where like if we all were playing this game together, I would do something and then, try to throw that challenge to Damon and make him replicate it.
It's got that very interesting struggle going on that video games have a lot now, where it's fun and lighthearted, but it's also realistic. And that moment where that guy crashed into the mountain, it was like, oh my God, he's very dead.
He's dead.
He had a horrifying scream.
And the next minute, Pennywise the clown is laughing.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
Solemnly.
The clown skins going down a mountain, like that's terrifying. So I mean,
I just think I like that extreme sports. Its courses, but then it would also have like the backcountry, and it feels like a whole game of just sort of exploring that backcountry and making your own lines through the mountain. And I'm like, that sounds great.
As a person who lives in California, I miss snow, and I hope we can go sledding in this game and make a fort, throw snowballs, get in all sorts of trouble.
If you rearrange 2 letters in the word trail, you get Trials of the Blood Dragon.
Whoa.
Which is out now, and I'm really bummed because I'm here at E3, and immediately after E3, I'm going to a wedding for all weekend, so I won't get to play Trials of the Blood Dragon.
Damon, your PS4 is right now.
What? That's pretty good. All right, that's actually all the time that we have for our Ubisoft post show today. We have lots more content we need to get to. I think we have some game demos coming up next. So there's a Bethesda showcase coming up next. We're going to have Pete Hines here on the show, see all the big games that Bethesda announced yesterday, and that's going to be immediately followed by a live Game Scoop. So stick around for that. We'll see you right after this.